Good morning, Dave here with Organic Gardening in North Carolina. It is September the 23rd. Time for a garden tour. Let's turn the camera around and get going. Here's my parsley that had the worms eating it. It actually is coming back nicely. Let's see, here's a hot pepper plant that my brother gave me some seeds for. It's just starting to put out some peppers. I don't know why it's taking so long to get going. Seems like peppers do take a while to get going in my garden for some reason. There is spinach coming up. I've started planting fall crops. This is radishes, daikon radish, that I saved seed from. And over here is some lettuce. I have some green lettuce and then the red leaf lettuce. Here's a fig tree that I sprouted from a cutting. I just planted this in the ground about a week ago. I'm hoping that it'll grow a little bit and have some strength to make it through the winter. Probably I'll cover it with mulch to get it through the winter easier. Here's a sweet pepper plant that's really starting to put out some blooms and fruit. Guess it doesn't have anything real huge on it right now. There's a couple bigger ones coming. Yay. I've been eating off of this plant too. I eat them when they get about that size. Can't really see, but I planted some onions down in here and some more daikon radish over here. I just put them down through the mulch. Here's my biggest blueberry bush. It's put out a couple tall shoots. My tomatoes died back in the midst of the heat in the summer, and now they're bouncing back, starting to put some fruit on, so maybe I'll get a few more tomatoes. I did throw some vetch seed down in here for a cover crop for the winter, but I don't have a whole lot of area for it because I got a lot planted in here. This is my Egyptian spinach, which has done incredible this year. It's the third year I've grown it. And this plant here is about 5 feet. I've got another plant back there. It's probably 6 or 7 feet. It started putting out seed clusters just recently. Those things, they go from about this size to this size. It seems like overnight. When they're a smaller size, they're really good to eat. Maybe even this size. Let's see. Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty tender. That probably kills people that are wanting seeds, but there's so many seed pods on here. Look at that. I might dry some of these leaves to use in smoothies during the winter too. There's a fig tree that had roots on it when I got it. I dug it out from the bottom of the fig tree. I believe it may be starting to put on some figs. I don't know if it'll have time to do figs this fall still. Oh, something that I haven't mentioned in other updates is I do have some ginger growing down here. I planted that early in the spring, so we'll see if it has enough time to mature. It takes a long time. Let's see. Zinnias are very pretty flowers. Here's my goji berry, which actually has Egyptian spinach growing through it. It has these tiny little red berries. For some reason I was thinking the berries would be bigger, and I think they will be bigger when this plant gets established and has a better well, when it's used to being here. The leaves pretty much have dropped off of it. It was a nice plant when I planted it, so I don't know if that's really a failure or it might have got too dried out this summer, but it does have leaves starting to sprout out, so hopefully it'll be producing next year with some bigger berries. It's sort of hard to describe the taste, so I guess I won't. I just threw in a couple sweet potato sprouts. They probably won't have time to do anything either unless we have a super late fall this year, which I'm not really anticipating enough time for them to produce, but I was just playing around seeing how they sprout. My rattlesnake beans have not been harvested very well, so I'll be able to have some beans there to plant next year when I harvest those pods. But there are some still coming. They're good. Oh, here's another one of my brother's hot pepper plants that he gave me the seeds for. One of my friends came over and I said, hey, you want to try this hot pepper? She said, sure. So she took one of these green ones and said, oh no, they're not hot at all, and ate the whole thing. Then I came out the other day and I picked one of the red ones and I bit halfway through it and discovered that it was hot. So I guess they turn hot as they turn older and turn red. Because I did ask her if she was teasing me on that, and she said no, it was definitely not a hot pepper. So that was interesting. Let's see. Here's my grandkids' strawberry patch with ever-bearing strawberries. The ones in the spring were big and nice. These now, even though it's still blooming and still producing, they're not really producing big strawberries. But the plants have put out a lot of runners and put out a lot more plants. Here's my old raised bed. I've got a lot of fall things planted in here starting to come up. This is sorrel, which sort of tastes like lemony. I have arugula that I planted from seeds from previous years. Have some sugar snap peas coming up. I have a little rebar for them to climb up. This is an old Swiss chard that's starting to come to life again in the fall. The bugs pretty much ate it up. Then I planted some things over here. I planted some mock and somewhere around here I planted something called Holland, which is a green that gets huge. The mock is supposed to be good for taking the cold. I'm hoping it'll make it through the winter here. If I get around to it and get motivated, I may put plastic over this little hoop house. I planted carrots through here. I planted some 2x4 world record carrots on the end there. Then I have other carrots, which I'm trying to keep moist so that they will sprout. Also got some rabbit manure in there from our rabbit. Rabbit manure is nice because it won't burn your plants. Like sheep manure is good, rabbit manure, goat manure is good because it won't burn your plants, where chicken manure has a lot of nitrogen and it can burn your plants very easily if it's not composted down. There's something coming up here, which is probably the mock. Or I planted something else here. I'll have to look up what I planted for next update when they'll be coming up more. Here's some Malabar spinach, where I had my best plant last year. The raspberries are blooming. Might get a few raspberries this fall. See, there were some tomatoes on this wire that seemed like they died out at the end of the summer. I planted some lettuce down here. It's not coming up yet. Paul Goschi, or however you say his name, from Back to Eden Garden. I just watched one of his videos and he told me that you could take off the tops of the asparagus and it would start producing a fall crop. So you do that in September. So I did that, and sure enough, look at this, it's producing a fall crop. He also said that you need to break off these sprouts at the crown, where normally most people, myself included, have just cut them off right at the ground. So what you do is you just pull it sideways and it breaks off at the crown, and that way it'll keep producing better than if you break it off above. Now these are a little bit tough when it's close to the crown there in the dirt, so I just knock off that end, and then the rest of it's good to eat. See, that is, it's really nice and juicy. Nice and tender. And my grandson, who is in kindergarten, I just brought him out here to try the asparagus, and he actually liked it, which is amazing because he doesn't like much of anything. So we're going to be leaving most of these for him to sample when he's over here. That is good. I have a few beds on the border of my garden that I have some fall crops planted in too. I'm trying to water them morning and evening to keep them moist enough so that they will sprout and grow. My bloody dock made it through the hot summer. I let the comfrey grow to shade it a little bit, and it's starting to sprout out some nice new leaves. Here's a large basil plant that I've been eating from a lot. I planted some caladiums in my garden because I like the color. I planted spinach in a row up here, and there's not much coming up. There's one right there. I think that, I don't know if birds or something came in and ate them up, or they got too dried out. So I have replanted some other things in here. Don't remember what. When it comes up, I'll know though. Here are my figs. So proud of my little fig tree. I just planted this in the ground, similar to the one I showed you in the beginning of the video. It was a cutting from a stick last year, and it's grown over 5 feet this summer, and it's putting out figs. Hopefully they'll have enough growing season left to be able to sample the figs. have some sugar peas growing on this trellis too. This is a plant called, I believe it's perpetual cilantro, or no, it's cilantra instead of cilantro. I believe that's what it is. I believe it's supposed to be a perennial. The leaves are really sharp. They're almost, well, they do give you a little prick if you catch them just right, which is interesting. There's an Egyptian spinach plant that's fallen down over top of them. This is my largest Egyptian spinach. Look at the stems at the bottom there, how huge they are. So I need to get that cut off of here so that my plants in this little bed will grow. Might be able to just push it over a little bit. There we go. But yeah, that's the cilantro. So that's interesting. It didn't really produce much this year. I'm hoping that if it is a perennial, that it'll come back strong next year, or maybe it'll grow in the cooler weather too. Okay, here's my main peppers. There's some jalapenos. This is a seed packet I got at the store that just said giant peppers. I don't even know exactly what they are, but I do have a good amount of peppers on these plants now. I tied them up so they wouldn't fall over. It looks like a good one to eat. Oh yeah. I did get some plants from the garden store. This is broccoli. I don't know, I got probably 4 broccoli or so. Well, I should be eating this pepper because it's starting to turn red. Guess I'll eat that tonight or tomorrow. Let's see, I believe that's the dinosaur kale. I believe that's what that is. Let me look. Nope. Oh yeah, it is. Dinosaur kale. It says so right there. There's the Jerusalem artichoke flowers. Aren't they pretty? There's a little spider on there. My plants got so tall that they actually fell down. And I've been so sick I haven't had a chance to tie them up. Let's show you something else over here. I planted some popcorn. That's in here. Look at that. Looks like it didn't get pollinated very well. That's not a very nice stalk, but there's a little bit of popcorn on there. There's some other ears that are a little bit bigger. Should probably harvest that soon so the birds don't start eating it away from me. I planted some onions from those little bulbs that are starting to come up. So that'll be like sort of spring onions. Start using the tops of those. See what this is. That's another dinosaur kale. And I believe these are some more brassicas that are probably not too sure. That looks like a kale. Probably a premier kale. and Brussels sprouts, because I got a little tag on that one. Actually, those are probably Brussels sprouts there. I think I was wrong. Maybe I didn't get kale. Probably planted some kale seeds somewhere. There's some more dried out rattlesnake beans that I need to harvest the seeds for next year. Alright, so that's the tour. If you think of it, say a prayer for me, because since July 30, I've been sick and the doctors still haven't figured out what's wrong with me. So I'm on my 4th doctor. This one looks promising because she does acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and she has some tests that the other doctors wouldn't have thought of doing that hopefully will find some answers for me. But right now I'm still getting around on prednisone, which I hate because it makes me feel weird. But anyways, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed to get my updates right away. Thank you. Have a blessed day.